if I expand the topic, I could go into.
So are there more people with color blindness than people with distance vision?
Probably no.
Ask
Good question.
AI.
There are a lot of different variations, right? In
For
color blindness.
Yeah, there are three. I'll
Three primary.
There's protanopia, deuteranopia, tritanopia, and monochromatism. So monochromatism is where people absolutely can't see color. Deuteranopia is the most prominent one, where the green cones are absent in the retina of our eye, where the people can see, are confused between seeing reds and greens. And then there is protanopia, where the red cones are absent in the eye. Basically, there are three cones in the eye. There are red cones, green cones, and blue cones. So when the red cones are absent in the eye, then there is muted and confusion between reds and greens. And then there is the blue cone absency, which is called tritanopia, which is the least prominent in individuals, where the individual is confused between blue and yellow. So with the literature survey I could find out statistics where 1 in 12 men and 1 in 200 women globally are affected by color blindness. And this project was deployed in India at Sept Hospital, where I tested around 1,000 test cases. So according to my statistics, according to my research, 3.89% of males in India and 0.18% of females in India, which is a big population to handle, seeing the population of India, suffer from color blindness, and it's not addressed that much globally.
That's interesting. I've always heard 8% in the global population, but I was never aware of the difference between male and female. That's interesting.
So moving
Is
forward,
anybody in this room colorblind?
we could test out when I show the demo.
Show us the numbers.
So according to my literature survey, there are three classical approaches to this problem. One is converting images from RGB images, red, green, blue images, to LMS, long, medium, short scale. Then we have simulation techniques, which show protanopia or deuteranopia distort images. And then we could use correction matrices, where we adjust colors to enhance the perception of the individual. So for modern approaches, where we could use AI, where we could use deep learning methods like CNN, which is conversion neural networks, then GANs, which is generative adversarial networks, and weakly supervised models. Then we could use attention mechanisms and style transfer for precision, and real-time augmented reality and mobile applications for this. In my future scope, I'm trying to build a augmented reality device to help colorblind individuals. But gaps still remain because we have lack of diverse data sets to decide which images should be used. We have poor generalization and limited real world testing over here. That's where my software contributes.
Is your software attached to a device, or how does the software interact with the end user?
It's a web application right now, where an individual inputs an image, which he's finding difficulty in perceiving colors, and then we use matrix corrections and matrix transformations to help him get a clear image.
So the user has to take a picture of something and then
Upload it on
filter it through your software, and then you get a interpretation of the image that allows them to see it as it.
Okay.
While sitting at the red light.
So it sounds like Vic brings up an interesting point. It sounds like a very static process for a dynamic problem.
moving. So this was my literature survey, which so these were prevalent papers which were published for color blindness and to address this problem. So the project,
But I think Andrew's question is this gonna help people who are colorblind?
yes, right now
Is
it's
that what you were asking, Andrew?
No, I was just making an observation that, having color blindness is a dynamic problem. It's a problem that you experience as you move through the world. And so it's dynamic. Your data input's constantly updating and it's a real-time problem, but the solution seems to be very static. Where you have to have a phone, you have to take a picture of something, and then you have to run it through the software, which has a filter, which does a transformation that doesn't fix anything here, but only fix something there. And I don't understand how that really solves the problem.
Unless
unless
it can be real-time smart glasses. Or some kind of,
That's why I was asking.
yeah, I agree.
that's where my future scope comes in, where I'm working on right now, which is a real-time augmented reality or real-time smart glass device, which helps you.
So then the question becomes, how do you train your
Software.
your software model? Can you talk about that a little bit?
So right now we train. I had a data set which of like 100,000 images, and then we use matrix transformations where we converted from the RGB scale to LMS scale, where we got 97% accuracy, and we tested it on 1,000 individual cases deployed at the Vision Lab in Sept Hospital, Mumbai. Right now it's deployed, but to this problem right now is not that prevalent, so we need to have like a hit and miss thing right now. But to perfect it, if I get a good data set, a diverse data set, I could integrate and train the application as well.
Thank you. I'd never heard of LMS color space. Thank you. It's pretty interesting.
A question.
Sure.
There are existing glasses for people who are colorblind. What I know. What would make your augmented reality glasses a more compelling product to have than just their standard colorblind glasses?
So there are solutions for this one color blindness, which is deuteranopia right now. But there aren't any solutions for tritanopia, protanopia, or monochromatism. To solve these, if I have a reality or augmented reality device which solves the problem real time, the individual could just shift between deuteranopia, tritanopia, protanopia, monochromatism, and then he could see color.
But it is a great question because it at its very core, it's the business question of what is the most practical for the solution for the problem, right? If prescription static filter glasses do the same thing as a real-time AI-enabled software system,
A good balance.
don't stop your research. It's cool.
So this is the demo of my project, where this is the landing page of where this is a basic test for deuteranopia, protanopia, and tritanopia.
Yeah.
Where when you select the answer, if it's wrong, the software decides that whether you're suffering from the disease or not, and then you move forward to the.
How does the software, like, if I were to interact with your software and I come up to this page, how does this software know that I'm not seeing normal?
So the first image if you see, if you click if you could perceive that it's 97,
Okay.
you could see properly. But if you're seeing something else, then it is wrong.
Mhm.
There's something wrong over there. Because the 97 is in a different color, which you could perceive.
Mhm.
It's a deuteranopia test. So you're confused between blue and green. So the color is red. So you could see the 97. If you select 97, you're good. But if you select some other option, then
vis-a-vis the other 92% of the human race, right?
Well, males,
For males, yeah, thank you.
yeah, females, it's pretty low because it goes on the X chromosome.
so you're if you there's an admin and then you could log in as well. And then you could select which kind of colorblind, if you already know it, which kind of colorblindness you have, the deuteranopia, protanopia, and tritanopia.
Hmm.
And then you select an image. Then you upload your image, whichever image you want, and the software will recolorize the image using matrix transformations for you. It's basically a simple UI. This is the original image and this is the simulated color.
And what the person gonna see if they have some of these variations of color blindness.
So he'll see the image which he's uploaded, like the same image which he's uploaded. If we are not colorblind, we usually see a recolored image over here. But if you are suffering from the disease, then you will see the original, which is private.
Yeah, but I think my question is, there are, as she mentioned, some glasses or things that you can put, and then people, they even get emotional when they start seeing certain things, right? They put some things like, oh my God, this is all colorful now. Will this person, when they see this changing colors, have a similar sensation, or it's just that they're gonna be able to see what they couldn't see before?
Interesting.
I have another question. I think I asked it before, but I just want to be clear on the answer. What are you using to train your AI here?
We're using matrix transformation.
Huh? What?
So there are standard matrices for the RGB to LMS scale
Okay.
for a normal color perceiving person,
Okay.
individual. We use those calculations as a medium to train the software. And those matrices are then used for a deuteranopic or protanopic, because every image has these matrices in them. So these are the-
Standard neural network, machine learning kind of approaches.
Yes.
Well, what's the adversarial situation what's the discriminator that allows it to? Because you say you have 3 transformation matrices that
Yes.
you're applying. What's the discriminator that allows it to say, okay, or are you telling it it's this type of color blindness, it's that type of color blindness, so that those are fixed variables as
Yeah,
opposed
those
to
are
being.
fixed and then it just transforms it according.
Okay, I know there are some publications demonstrating that AI is racist. So will this eliminate racism in AI?
Never.
Except for the 8%.
They've done tests with AI and published papers about it.
Yeah.
Where if you change the color of the face on the camera, it gives you different answers. Will this solve the problem?
No, that's almost always how the how your data set or your model is trained. A bias reflection within the model is a result of how the model was created and how it was deployed, and also the inputs that you use to define the scope of what it's always going to be racist because it's always discriminated.
Yeah.
Which is an inherent part of the process.
I guess
So-
the model is like the family you were raised in.
No, you're stretching.
So
Stretching, sorry.
Do you want to go back to
the reason.
My family was proud, not
The
racist.
results.
Cool project,
Yeah, it's super.
cool project.
It's really cool.
But you'd think it had already been done. So I mean, nobody else has been really working on this.
These are the fixed variables which
Mhm.
for protanopia, deuteranopia, and tritanopia.
That's the LMS tie-in. Thank you. Very cool.
And then I wrote a research paper on this, and then I published it this year at a conference held at IIT Delhi, Indian Institute of Technology, Delhi.
So the other question, how'd you come up with the transformation,
It's already
matrix to do the, is that just a standard sort of? Okay.
So these are this is how I'm taking the project forward. The thing which I'm working on right now is integration into augmented reality or virtual reality headsets, which helps solve this problem in real time. Like any disease, the individual could just fluctuate between protanopia and tritanopia. Or this could even help in cross-domain applications like medical imaging and employment tools. Like I could have color-coded dashboards and data visualizations, etc. So
Do you know
Yes.
Professor Jeff Price at this school? He's a world expert on AR and VR. Might want to see if he wants to test it out.
sure.
He's just down the hallway on the ground floor.
This
Cool.
this is the
Nice.
But
Congratulations.
Very good.
Nice.
Good job.
Yeah,
So something I keep seeing pop up with AI, and I'll relate this to what you're doing, I promise, is lawyers will use it and it will generate what people call hallucinations. And it'll make very cogent arguments, but on case law that doesn't exist. So my question is, people use colors contextually in many circumstances to determine hazards in their environment. How can this AI make sure it's not feeding them bad info?
Should firefighters use your methodology?
Well, I mean, I think, you can kind of look and see what a fire is, but just like based on the red, blue, or red, yellow, green of a stoplight, I mean, that's pretty simple one, right? If it shows them green when the stoplight's red, there's a big problem. And not all of the stoplights are arranged the same everywhere you go, right? So you can't just trust that they'll be able to tell, well, the bottom one's gone. But even in certain other contexts, right, like yellow when you're crossing a road usually means like be careful. Our crosswalks are white, which I understand maybe doesn't fit in this.
Blue fire and a red fire.
Yeah, actually, that is actually true. The different color of a fire is actually relevant to how hot it is. But is there any way for this to be able to kind of like know when it's wrong? Or is this kind of a use your best judgment while using this and try to?
I can see pretty well. I can see colors pretty well. So I've not used this. But according to the test cases, one of my test case, he had deuteranopia. He could not perceive between greens and yellows, sorry. So he was
Secondary.
so when we tested this thing on, as professor said, this is a pretty static solution. But in future, if I've integrated this with a augmented reality in the glasses or smart glass thing, where we could see real world solutions, then we could solve this problem.
It's a Geordie LaForge problem.
You'll have to fill me in.
Man, I'm old.
I'm sorry.
speaking of being old, those 3 color dot classic cards, I can remember being shown those 55 years ago at age 16 by an Air Force flight surgeon. And look, there was no algorithm involved. I just said what the number was I saw, and then he goes, yes or no. A very binary kind of, you're colorblind. We don't care what the category is. So anyway, just a war story.
So the future scope for this is basically to integrate into AR and VR, right?
Yeah.
And have you done the costing on it? Would that make it more accessible? What is like really, really expensive?
I've not worked on it yet. I'm currently working on the solution right now. But we could use cheaper options. There are cheaper options if you're suffering from the problem really bad, we could integrate into mobile application, like a free mobile application, and you would like switch on your camera. Not take a picture, but it's just like a live view thing. Google Maps does it pretty well right now. When you're walking, you have a live view. So if you use an application and integrate it with Google, if I integrate it with Google Maps, you would like just use a camera.
Is the current plan to try and like host it locally on a device where like you download a file and that is the entire program as opposed to constantly needing like mobile data?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I think that'd be best if it was possible.
So it would be better to get your, if you had a car, you might want to get your windshield domerized
Tinted, yeah.
to shift it.
Okay, so
What about the lenses? Do not wear lenses.
Mhm.
Just once you know what your issue is, when one of those open, then you get a lens, like a set of lens made. And that way, when you're out in the wilderness, you want to see green, you don't want to see red trees.
Yeah. I
So
want to see red.
maybe
Right.
you want to see red trees.
Oh, my.
Okay, so when you come and talk again next year, the question I'm gonna ask you is, when I was 16 years old, my grandmother was a music teacher and she tried to teach me music. And she said, "You're tone deaf. You're not gonna do it." So can this data analytics method be applied to tone deafness?
To
I need
acoustics.
to research about it.
Yeah. Vision and
No,
hearing are
I
different parts of the
I'm
brain.
not playing any music in my life because my grandmother said you can't tell the difference between the different tones.
You are
It could
tone blind.
we could use data analytics, of course.
No, but I mean, maybe the same analytic method could be applicable to sound as well as sight.
It's a good point.
I mean, I assume tone deafness is more of a neurological rather than popular issue. So you're asking for a lot.
Well, AI doesn't have a body, so why should it care? Okay,
I love water and hope.
So thank you.
thank you very much.
Yeah, good job, good job.
I want to introduce our next speaker, Antonio Pais. He's a faculty member in JSOM, leading the Flex, I think, which have we
Cohort and online.
cohort and online business analytics and AI master's program. And before he joined UTD, he was working for a company called Zalby Digital, which was a technology, it was a consulting company, a digital technology consulting company that basically did a variety of technology solutions, including AI solutions for big companies, and they've made some applications for big companies like BMW. So without further ado, his talk is going to be more about how it's changing industries and jobs today. So Professor Pais.
Cool.
Thank you. So, thank you for having me. Appreciate you all being here.
Homer did the invitations.
Yeah, thank you. I have been bumping into him on many occasions here, so thank you for inviting me. In general, AI has been a topic of discussion, and I became full-time faculty here in June. Before I have been teaching class a semester for about 3-4 years now, and I have been working with AI for a while, and until 2023, I was just another forgotten person in the basements of the university, and all of a sudden, people now want to talk to me. Oh, okay, I gotta talk. Okay, so my point is here. There might be a lot of discussions. You guys keep me honest on the time here. It's usually, I try to make it as interactive as possible, not just me talking. Feel free to interrupt any time. So understanding the changing landscape of AI, and that's the title of my life these days, because I'm also trying to understand everything that is going on. Things are changing by the minute, as we know. We all have been hearing news all the time. We are flooded with this. You cannot go anywhere without hearing about AI and what's going on. So the focus of this conversation here will be this. Are we talking about the current state of AI, the AI impact on business in general, or we can talk about impact of AI on anything that we want, and insights from real world experience and preparing for AI driven careers, mostly, directed to the young crowd here in this room, I suppose. So let's go to the next slide then. So let me talk about the state of AI and give some examples, right? So everybody's trying to figure out what's going on. And everybody's in a different level of understanding of what's going on. And students and professors here at the university are also trying to understand and adapt to it. And there are good cases and bad cases. Give the good cases. I see a lot of people using it to learn fast, right? You can chat GPT instead of doing a research on Google. You can ask for reference from GPT, for example, and it can give you the reference that you need for your research, and then you can go and read the papers that you need without, for example, doing all the research on the papers.
I'm going to interrupt you.
Yeah.
I recently did a search on ChatGPT, and I said, give me a list of references about something. And it gave me 12. One of them, I was the co-author of the paper in 2012. And I looked it up, and it didn't exist. So I think it was just flattering me by quoting a reference of a paper I hadn't
It
written.
was augmenting you already.
No, I'm not making this up.
No, but that's the point. That's exactly the point. And it's important to mention because even though it gives you the reference, it doesn't mean that it's right.
Yeah.
It's a starting point, and that's what people need to understand.
Yeah.
And I'm going to get there.
Yeah,
In more details. So,
he should have been using Perplexity, not ChatGPT.
well, that's another point. When I do my researches, I do cross between 3 of them. Right? But still, it's a good tool to start, not a good tool to get to the final conclusion. It helps you build a framework to begin with. And that's how you should take it. Not as the final, but as a good framework to start. Now, not everybody understands that, especially the students. And then one of the first things that I ask to my classes is to understand the minds that are inside of my classes. So my first 2 classes, or my disciplines, I ask, write me an essay on a specific topic so I can understand what the juice is inside of each one of these students' heads. And this summer, for example, I had a small class, relatively small, of about 15 students. And I asked them,
Undergraduate or graduate?
master level.
Graduate.
And ironically, I asked them to write about ethics in artificial intelligence. And I say ironic because the result was what? Well, when I read
They copied it from GPT or something.
they didn't even, yeah, it was a copy and paste. But the fascination is there were 3 or 4 patterns of essays that follow the same things with terms that I know a normal student wouldn't use. They were present there, the structure and everything else. I said, okay, I just wrote back to the students. I didn't even finish to grade them. Wrote back and said, listen, I know you all use GPT, so I'm going to give you a chance. Rewrite it without using it with your own head. If you do it, I'm going to grade you, no problem. If you don't, you're going to get a 0 on your essay, right? Guess how many students wrote it back?
All of them.
3/4. 3/4 wrote
Without using AI.
3 quarters rewrote it because they assumed they were not using AI. The other quarter, they were using AI because their essays were similar to the other ones. So I gave 0 to them. So the point is, it's very evident when the work doesn't belong to you. If you just get it wrong, if you interact with it, and you get started with ideas and write with your own thoughts later on, this is fine. But still, the point is you are outsourcing your brain to something else. So what's the point of you being in a program if you are outsourcing your learning to a ChatGPT, right? Yes.
Counter pushback, beloved
Yes.
professor. Did you use AI at all in your analysis or grading of the original?
No. On that one, no. But now to accelerate the process, I learned 2 weeks ago that when you submit on e-learning the assignment to the students, there is a new tool that automatically filters it for you. So I'm already using it now. Of course, I'm going to do my own process, but it's automated. You know.
Go ahead, Andrew. From a pedagogy point of view, right?
Yes.
It would seem that being able to use AI tools within context of a classroom situation from a professor's standpoint, who's like an active practitioner, it's like higher level associative relationships that you either have the students construct or analyze using these technologies. And that's one of the unique ways that they can be employed to take it, to make the learning take advantage of the abilities of the tool. Have you seen like, or have you created examples of that where you sort of deal with higher level associative things where you have to make factors, things relate to each other, have students find relationships and things that they might not during like a normal, so using a normal research methodology or investigative methodology?
That's a good point. Thanks for bringing that up. The way that I drive the learning is always build something for me.
Right.
Like, don't tell me, show me what you can do. And that's the best way that I believe one can learn. I am a person who is of a very limited intellectual. I am below average, but I persist and I learn by doing. So that gave me the edge. It was not my brain capacity. It was because I am stubborn and I can keep going until I get there.
Right, you're a grit monster.
So that's how I learned. So the way for me to teach my students is get something done, because that's the only way for you to prove that you're capable of. In software we use like push it to production, show me that it's working, right? And the use of these tools in a real world scenario into corporations, and I'm gonna get there. If you outsource your work to GPT, you are normalizing yourself to the mediocrity. You're not bringing anything new, right? You're just a vanilla thing. You're just a vanilla thing, right? You're nothing. So if you really want to make a difference, you have to, of course, use the tools, but not to give the final work, but to help you give a little start on spark some ideas, and then you can move. That's where I think the opportunity is for all of us, students and professors. So that's my point right now. I think there's a lot of impact on education. The professor is talking here about pedagogy. Go back to the last year. And I think a lot of transformations will happen in education because of that. But we cannot deny the impact of AI. We just need to understand how we drive the students to a proper learning.
Okay, I have a different, I'm fluent in both French and English. And sometimes I ask the same question in French and English, and I don't get the same answer. Because somehow I misspell words differently in English than in French, and that it misinterprets what I said. And it makes me pressed it so little. So if you're bilingual, just play the game of asking it in two different languages, the same question. And it just
is, we're gonna get to that point.
Okay,
Professor.
I'm
Thanks
sorry.
for bringing that up. But in terms of corporations, I think there's a race right now that everybody's trying to get there, to get the edge, to get to the next thing. And I talk to a lot of leaders in the industry, and they're like, "Oh my God, we need to do this. I have this budget allocated here. I have no idea what I'm gonna do." Well, guess what? Nobody does. But there's a desperation for getting the edge, and then you see these big corporations getting eaten on the side, but these little startups that have very efficient small teams, and they can do a lot of that. So there's a lot of turmoil going on, a lot of desperation, but a lot of unknowns. And notice this: whenever you go to a conference, a normal conference, you see all the CEOs sitting, etc. They're going to repeat the word AI 1 gazillion times. But they have no freaking idea what the hell they're talking about. Because the knowledge is very superficial. Nobody can go any deep. Nobody can go to the second floor of that information. And that's a disease spread out. And that's what I'm trying to give to the students in our program there. Because they should be the leaders of the industry, talk intelligently about all these things, right? But the common ground in the industry is ignorance right now. Nobody can talk about anything whatsoever. And it's very sad, but it's going to take time. We can go to the next level. And that leads to my other point. Everything is a better version of it.
better version.
Not a better version.
Meta.
Yeah. Or even an alpha version. I should have
Meta.
Alpha would.
alpha version.
Yeah.
And the point here is, for the ones who have gray hairs like myself, time rolling in the industry, you have lived through computers, have lived through the beginning of the internet, have lived through mobile phones, and all these different versions of all of these things. I lived through the birth. I'm originally from Brazil, so everything there was 10 years behind. So I saw the computers being born there. And I assembled my own computer with a Z80 processor, and you have to code it on bytecode and assembler. And then I sold my guitar to buy my first PCs because I wanted to learn how to program. It was the most depressing thing I ever did. Sell my guitar to buy a computer, but I had to. I have more guitars because of my trauma. But I also have a lot of computers. But reflecting on that, the age of AI now is when we had those first Nokia phones, the indestructible ones that everybody uses.
It wouldn't fit in the pocket.
Yes,
Flip phones.
flip phones. Now everybody has like a touch screen phone, fancy, etc. But from the time that we got there to here where the kids and where we are with the AI right now is on the very first version of everything, on the beta version, where you try to call using your phone, a bird passed over your head, your signal is gone. That's where we are with AI. And everybody thinks that AI is very advanced right now. It's not.
Students, your job's a slave.
And people are using AI right now as if they got the final truth of everything, because they are used to go on Excel and add 2 cells to give a final result, and that result was very much trust, so that they became trustworthy. It's not. AI is not. It's not the same. So, but because people are used to use the computer, to add 1 + 2 = 3.
Deterministically.
Yes, AI is not. The AI is a statistic.
It's transdeterministic.
It's very statistic. And it's a bad statistic right now. Now, there are models that are coming up that are very good in certain programs. People are using AI to diagnose and identify cancer on its early stage, but that's a very specific model trying to do one thing. It's not GPT, which is supposed to do everything.
We're using it for drug discovery at AstraZeneca.
You know, there are certain models very specific, they are fantastic, and that's where the edge is being gained, you know. I was on TED AI last year, and they were one of the participants on the group that won the Nobel Prize in chemistry. We had two Nobel Prizes that were given to AI last year. One was Geoffrey Hinton, one is a physicist, and he was given in physics. AI won a Nobel Prize in physics, and the other one was in chemistry, given by AI. And the reason it was given to AI was this. It was exactly on the drug discovery. In order for you to discover certain things in chemistry, especially related to proteins, you have to have a person spend 4 years of their lives in a laboratory trying to figure it out by trying. Yes, but now with AI, you can do that in a matter of seconds.
Simulation.
So the Nobel Prize was given because the amount of time saved on research and development was an order of billions of years of people going to the laboratory.
Yes, I have a question, and it bleeds into the ethical, and I'm just trying to understand the determinative factors in a business context. Is it just all about efficiency? Because it seems like when we look at the business world and its adoption of these technologies, it seems like efficiency is the overriding sort of thing. Drive because it leads to profits, right? You know, I'm just starting.
Profit is a major driver,
right? But the efficiencies create the profits.
Yeah.
And because, I think that sometimes I think that the value should be placed elsewhere, because this like a singular focus on efficiency and profits. I think there's something that's.
No, but he says the patient didn't have to stay in testing for years.
Yes.
Yeah, but no. But what I'm saying is that when we look at AI in like a business context, and you hear people talking about AI in the business context, it's always efficiencies and profits. And from a value standpoint, that's why I started out by saying that I was making sort of like a value statement.
Yes.
It is, since we're all in beta right now, right? Since it's all in beta right now, I almost think that the emphasis and the energy should be placed in something else, you know, in order for it to have sort of like a long-term.
Good point. I think the efficiency and the profit, of course, it's
always gonna be,
it's there. But I see AI, and that's where but I really, you know, all the drugs discovered that you're talking about, I think that's beneficial to all of us. I think there's no doubt that.
Yeah.
But to your point, because again, I'm a limited person, I would like to have more capabilities. I think AI is giving me the opportunity to do things that I couldn't. I couldn't. For example, am I a poet? Absolutely not. Am I a great person doing creativity? No, I'm not.
I disagree.
But AI can help me with that.
I call that hallucination.
I call that augmentation.
Creative hallucination.
I call that augmentation because
You're
for
right.
the first time, I am capable, and I'm happy that with new tools,
Right.
I can do stuff that I couldn't do before. And that's creating new capabilities.
It's empowering, yes.
Yes, and there's another example. I'm going to be bringing in November a group from France. They fabricate a robot called Milokai. It's a tiny robot like this. It looks very nice. You can look on the internet so people can see that. It's called. It's from Enchanted Tools. Enchanted Tools. The robot is called Milokai with a K. And this robot, for example, is being one of the cases for this robot is a conversational robot. And I go to the images. So different than the robots that you see that industrial seems like comes from a sci-fi movie that's gonna kill you. This robot is a very good looking and communicates with you in a conversational way. Now, the point is, this robot, one of the uses for this robot is to talk to people who are alone. Do I want people alone? No. But there are a lot of people who are alone on these homes for elderly folks, unfortunately. Life challenges. So to me, and it's all eyes, to me, it's an augmentation of possibilities. Yes, still driven in the end by profits, but the possibilities also create good possibilities for the human beings to feel better. So I see good sides as well, but again, yeah, the profit is there. The amount of opportunity, financially speaking, has never been bigger compared to other revolutions before, even compared to the, railroads, cars, whatever you call it.
Do you think that this is going to, yes, it does a level of efficiency, but it's going to have a bigger impact than the World Wide Web?
I think so. In the long term, yes. Because it's not just information.
Again, the web is creating the LLMs
Yes.
underneath.
Yeah, okay, but then again, let's come back to your basic argument. I lived through the 80s when holography was happening. It disappeared. It used to be on everybody's credit card, no longer.
Right.
And then we hit the metaverse, AR, VR. People would go on vacations that way. It didn't happen. So I think the loneliness example, we have to be a little bit careful.
So channeling our friend, Dr. Christopher, who's a diffusion specialist in the business school that I attended next door for a graduate degree in innovation entrepreneurship. One of the things you learn is the kind of hyper buzzed phenomenon of new technology, right? And it tends to fit an interesting evolution of hype to,
But I think the counterexample is helping people with cancer get diagnosed much sooner.
Yes.
And so that's not a huge business, but it matters.
It matters.
Coming back to.
So I think the cases will emerge. The hype, of course, exists, but it's gonna change. And we're gonna find the cases that matter and the cases that don't, right? So keep me honest here, how many minutes I have? 2 more?
-5.
It's gone? Okay, so done. Thank you.
We don't have an AI moderator.
But from like every school is trying to figure out how to get in front of this wave, and not have it, just not crush it, and I think is it going to be discipline specific? Are the solutions going to be discipline specific? Or as an academy, are we going to be able to come up with a common set of values that are going to help us negotiate this time? I don't think we'll ever have the answers.
Well,
we have the values to get us through this moment.
The way that I'm seeing it right now and that I'm seeing on school, at least at JSON, is like this. I am on the more generic side and I find the case that applicable to all of them. But also I have the vertical specific, the marketing, the entrepreneurship, the accounting, and each one of them are trying to embrace it somehow.
Yeah.
On their own specific version and applicability. So it's spreading out like that. But my focus is more AI applied to business in general, and then I'm partnering to each one.
But so picking up on my beloved Prof's point, there's a bottom up, every school is doing a bottom up kind of AI incorporating. But my question is to the new president's office and the provost, is there any top down AI czar at the University of Texas, Dallas right now? I'll put in my name
I don't,
for a resume.
no, I don't think so.
No.
Thank you.
Corporations
There's nobody,
are thirsty for that. I don't think the university needs to be because it's gonna emerge naturally within the.
okay,
When you come to the jobs, administrative jobs are gonna be taken over by AI.
And that's true. Which slide am I on?
AI's impact on business.
Impact
Yeah,
on
let me try to run through this so I can finish my speech then. So consulting is down, like McKinsey, they're toasted right now, you know, all of these key companies, they are trying to figure out what the hell they're gonna do next. Because you know, PowerPoint is no more their job. Process will be transformed, we're not gonna be transformed, they're gonna be reinvented. There's a transition phase where things exist as they are, they're gonna be changed with a little bit of AI. But in the end of the day, you don't want it to just transform, you want to build it with AI, not just transform it. And that's where the big disruption is going to be. That's where the new startups are. They're not just transforming it a little bit, they're just reinventing it from scratch. And that's what you have.
Put out fires with AI.
And that's where the big small teams and the impact comes. You have companies now with 5 people with the help with AI that can code, creating gigantic amount of software very fast. So, and insight from a real world is learn. Don't just get GPT to learn for you and submit your essay. That's rude first. Second, it's terrible to you. And use a lot AI to learn, not to replace yourself. Because if you replace yourself on the classroom, well, guess what's going to happen when you apply for a job? Right? Try different tools, not just prompting. So everybody just use ChatGPT, but there's so much more out there.
Yeah.
Go coding mode, but build something. Build an app, an agent, a code with client cloud, but build something unique. Don't just copy. You can't just go there and start learning all these tools. People said, "Oh, I need to learn code." Yes, but now you need to learn code with AI. And this is specific for my students. There's a lot of them, and I don't know why. They think that there's gonna be locked into their own room. And at the end of the 2 years, their brain's gonna be so big that everybody's going to hire them. No, go out, network, go to a jazz show, go to a bar. Don't get drunk, but my point.
no, get
Get drunk then. Yeah, get drunk.
Uber, call an Uber.
Get drunk and call Uber, but network more than ever. Socialization between humans is important. People are tired, exhausted of apps, exhausted of internet. Human, be a human. Go to conference. Do not stay at home. Make your connections. Make yourself visible somehow. And I'm not saying network. Hey, my name is John Doe. Do you have a job for me? This is not networking. Networking is find an affinity group that you're part of, that you can enjoy, and do something different in your life. And I say to my students, I don't care about your grades. I absolutely don't care about your grades. Yes, have a decent GPA above 3.1 or whatever. That's not what's gonna make you go to the other side. The network and the social connections is what's gonna make you more important. Sorry for rushing.
No. But thank you.
Awesome. Awesome.
If you just list trade places, let me sit over there.
Sure.
And I'll just bring up the internet and I'll be able to get where I need to go and drive. Cool.
That's
Appreciate it. Is in good hands, my friend. As an alum, thank you. Keep doing what you're doing.
Okay, and West Andrew is setting up. So a friend of mine, Robert Bernstein, at the University of Michigan, studied people who succeeded in life. the people who didn't succeed worked on the weekend. They went and played jazz on the weekend.
Yeah.
And the analysis, he was a physiologist, is you need to use every part of your brain to solve problems. And if you just go to work, go to work, go to work.
Yeah.
You won't succeed as much as others.
So the weekend jazz guys did not succeed?
They did succeed.
Ah.
They did succeed.
Ah.
They did succeed.
Love it.
No, and some of them got Nobel Prizes, and the less successful people just, oh, I gotta stay in the office online all weekend.
So a lot of CEOs are philosophers and other than STEM
Amateur
professionals.
pilots. Sorry?
There's a new person.
Oh, welcome. Who are you?
My name is Umar.
Okay.
Also.
What do you do at UTD?
A student.
Are you an AI student?
Yeah,
He's an AI.
business analytics and AI.
Are you taking from this professor?
Yeah, had a course last semester.
What is the thing that, what is the thing that, I want to have like a bar conversation. And you're like business analytics and AI.
Yeah.
Tell me what that is, as if I were like a 12-year-old.
Well, it helps you make money.
Different people, different tribes, Professor.
Right. But it's like, there's, I don't mean to like, don't take the assessment tag.
Uh-huh.
But if that's the primary response, there's a values crisis.
There is.
There's a,
It wasn't, let's solve some of the big problems in the world. You know, it wasn't, let's feed the hungry. It wasn't, let's find a way to combat all these things that are separating us and find ways to come together. It's like, as if that's like the most important thing. And it's scary. It's scary. And we see actually what's happening in a world where our whole relationships to this new journey that we find ourselves upon is the relentless, constant chase of profits. Because when you have the relentless, constant chase of profits, the thing that drags right behind it all the time is isolation. Because you got to do like this.
Loneliness, to quote the previous speaker.
you got to do like this.
Time with
And so-
ChatGPT.
And my hope, and the reason why I come to work here at UT Dallas all the time is because I'm surrounded by all these brilliant young people that do all these cool things.
and old people.
And I would pray that, yes, we got to live well. I'm not asking for us to take vows of poverty, but we have to have you need to have a different, we have that value system that you're just talking about, and look at the world that we gave. And so I'd like to hope and feel that our young people have seen what we've done. It's not as if you haven't seen the evidence before you. And because like when the internet came along, this was supposed to be this thing that was going to create this utopian world that brought us all together. And gave us all this time to like live out our human potential, but in the end, it isolated us and turned us all into like slaves. Yes.
Okay, but when you say that, I know that there needs to be a great system of checks and balances with capitalism and that whole debate. But when you say that greatest endeavors of across history have been motivated by a profit system of profit, you go across history, look at the Industrial Revolution and the positives that it brought about, and even with the AI whole scenario, there is the argument that it is motivated by profits, but at the end of the day, it does speed up the whole system or the process of doing things, So it does. It is motivated by profits, but I would say that the good far outweighs the bad.
Right. I'm not, believe me, I like profits. I'll stipulate that, but that's not primary. We can't allow that to become did you want to say something?
Well, I think he's making the point that these things aren't mutually exclusive, and they've never been.
Right, never been.
Great.
Right, and right, you mentioned like how we feed people, like AI is going to be the number one agricultural improvement, maybe in history. I mean, right now, from what I'm seeing, your average AI bot looks like a gantry crane that goes down the row. It's gonna use 75% less water, 50% to 75% less fertilizer, zaps the weeds.
Global
You
warming.
still gotta,
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I
It's
mean,
a-
it's combating a lot of things all at once, right? It reduces your independence on places that manufacture fertilizer, which right now is primarily places maybe we don't want to be friends with.
Yeah.
Pollution.
Yeah, there's 1,000 different things. It sucks that, I mean, I think the problem is the internet is like a kind of a communal thing, whereas AI, it doesn't feel that way.
No.
It's very like, that guy has the key to the gate. And
Einstein
he
in the
lets you
basement.
in.
Einstein in the basement.
Yeah, well, like if Einstein had to go and talk to a billionaire to use his tools, maybe, which I guess a lot of times you do, actually.
My interpretation of these two brilliant people who I'm fans of right now, because they're talking about AI at Color World, is I love universities that crank out both MBAs and MFAs.
Yeah.
For me, the real dangerous people aren't necessarily the PhDs. Okay, I love PhDs, but there's one PhD that doesn't exist at UT Dallas, and that's a PhD in general studies. Every PhD is and we need specificity. We need those domain experts, but we also need generalists. And
Just could be a long discussion.
absolutely.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, man.
that's all good.
Bridget's here today. She's gonna be like,
You've been
I
down,
wanna go home.
down this road before.
Yeah.
I'm gonna share some of my media projects, not here at UTD. I spend a lot of my time out on the road, as Roger suggested before, working with musical artists and actually expanding and enhancing their concert experience. And so I think it was about a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, let's say 2 years, makes it easy. I began to explore these new AI tools because as someone who's been like a lifelong artist who makes things, you know, I like I spent half my life as a knuckle dragging sculptor, welding things, working with materials, building things with my hands and with a whole range of materials. And the other side of my life has been sort of as a computer nerd using all the digital graphic technologies. Yeah, I did that too. Right. But so I come at this from what I like to feel is a unique point of view. And when I started hearing about these AI tools and these language models, I sort of viewed it as a new conceptual space to engage. And I came at it, and especially as an artist that's always been interested in synectics, which is also used a lot in business, where you try to bring things together that are seemingly unrelated and try to create coherency between these things and to use some standard transformational tools to create meaning with objects in space. But I use AI in my work, I think, across what I like to think of are three distinct domains. And for us as artists, it exists in sort of like three different ways. They're the language models that we use, like ChatGPT, like Claude, like Gemini, those types of tools which provide us with the conceptual space to begin to work out not only ideas, but also I think most artists use it to help them with their writing, because for most artists, that's like the hardest part of the game, to being able to write and to express your ideas in written form. And so and the thing that you get with the language models is that you learn the art of prompting, which is primary to everything that you do. If you're going to be an artist, you got to learn how to write prompts. The second domain is that we're entering an era now where almost every package that you use, Photoshop, Rhino, Mad Mapper, all the tools that I use are now being enhanced in some ways with AI, and it's expanding the capabilities of these software packages, and it's forcing us to look at them anew, and more importantly, to develop new workflows with these tools based on these AI enhancements that are being embedded into the tools. And then there are the AI tools that we are using to create objects, because you can write a prompt and create a three-dimensional object that you can 3D print and have. To create images, you use a lot of different models to create images, and now the largest area of expansion and disruption is within the realm of video. So as someone who created visuals to go along with concerts, what I began to do is to design new workflows, new production workflows, using these AI tools to produce content for these that enhances these musical experiences, and that makes these venues that I get to perform at willing to pay my fee to be there. So I'm down with the profits, we're big time. And so I'd like to start. I'd like to start with a project last year that I was brought in to at SF Jazz, which is a jazz venue in San Francisco, and they have an immersive projection system in their venue, and they wanted to bring me in to be their sort of like inaugural visual artistic director. Usually they have a jazz artist who's the artistic director that curates a 4-day program at the venue, but they wanted to bring me in to be their visual artistic director. And so I did a project there with a jazz artist harpist by the name of Randy Younger. And this is for you.
So don't tell us. Ask yourself the question, did he use AI or not?
I did. That's why I'm here. No reason for me to be here if I didn't. But I'm going to play a little bit of this for you, if I can. That's Alice Coltrane's Rama Rama Rama. And so here in this work, I used AI to create the imagery. And in this case, there's always like the image generation, video editing, then it's brought into the mapping software where I add sort of like the special effects. And then that's brought into the live performance where we're doing real-time mixing with a remote video with about 4 remote video cameras, and so there's a jazz improvisational aspect to it. But this is so what I feel is it's a somewhat sort of like flat use of AI, you know, where it's basically being used primarily for image generation. But it's severely important because it's like the thing that the hard thing that you have to learn and become good at is creating styles. How do you define styles? And within the context of AI, it's done 2 ways primarily nowadays. It's either done parametrically or it's done descriptively. And when you're writing prompts for visual arts, you're either doing prompts that are written in a verbose, descriptive manner with some parameters that can refine how those parameters work, or you're using and taking a parametric approach where you're trying to use like parametric constraints that you're provided with, and use that to create your prompts so that you can maintain the integrity of the stylistic envelope that you're working with. If you have questions, just fire them.
Okay, I guess I don't know what your next examples are, but immediately did you use AI to modify the sound?
No. The way that the sound,
the visuals fed back.
of course they do, because there's a whole other technical aspect of the work that deals with sound synthesis.
Yeah.
And the visuals
Jazz players see the images and play differently depending on what the AI generates.
It's at that stage it's not AI. It's more and like the guitarist like Charles Autry is funny because normally in rehearsals he'll look back at the images and he'll actually play the visuals because it's tied together parametrically. Like the visuals, the attributes of the visuals are cued and keyed to sound frequencies and the way that sound's played. So it's real time, it's interactive, and it's actually an organism that just breathes and lives. I wanted to share like another approach, and this approach, this is a little bit different. And it shows how you can, another way that we often use AI. Oh, I need my phone. Could you toss me my phone? I got the timestamps on the phone. This was an interesting case. We're doing a Tale of God's Will. As some of you may be aware, we just passed the 20th anniversary of Hurricane Katrina. And one of the seminal works about Hurricane Katrina was done by Terrence Blanchard for Spike Lee's documentary on Hurricane Katrina, and he's spun out a album which he called A Tale of God's Will, a Requiem for Katrina. And earlier this year, I had the opportunity to come in. I was commissioned to create the visuals for this concert, initially at the with the Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra, in New Orleans. And so you can imagine like a real solemn thing that this was. And one of the greatest anxieties about the whole thing was that nobody wanted to like come to this performance and potentially see one of their relatives floating in the streets. You know, and the challenge became how do you create the emotional distance? It's an empathetic question. How do you create the emotional distance that will allow these folks to enter in this experience without being traumatized? You know, and so and I was given all this material to work with, all this photographic material to work with, and I built the show, and I sort of looked at it. And oftentimes I'll do like an edit of the show with the music that I'm provided so that I can get a feel for the music and the interaction therein. And it just didn't feel right. It just didn't feel right because it almost felt like trauma porn. I hate to say it that way, but that's sort of what it felt like. And that's not what I wanted. That's not what we wanted to do. Certainly not what I wanted to do. And there were a number of people that didn't come to the performance because they felt it that way.
Oh, anticipation.
Okay. And so the solution that I came up with was to actually take the photographs and turn them into paintings.
Into what?
Paintings.
Painting.
And to turn them into these sort of like abstract paintings. And so what I did is that I actually between using Photoshop actions, and those Photoshop actions allow you to automate the image processing aspects within Photoshop. Okay, and so basically you can write a recipe for images. And I found this other AI program that allowed you to do the same thing, but there was like a wider range of filters that you could use to create and to define a stylistic look. And once you define that stylistic look, then you could batch process that to like a whole body of imagery. And so what that allows us to do is that we're able to cohere all the images stylistically, where all the images had the same feel. I wanted them to be abstract, but not so abstract that you couldn't get the gestalt of what was going on. And these were sort of this was sort of the feel of the imagery that we created. And it was presented in two contexts. General Russell Honore was there. If any of you saw like the Tale of God's Will, he was sort of one of the heroes of Katrina. He was the army general that came in and helped run the rescue effort and the recovery effort. And he was honored that night. Parents' mother was there. It was a really beautiful and solemn occasion. And so this is what it felt like. On sax, on trumpet, we have Terrence Blanchard, Louisiana Philharmonic Orchestra, and on sax, we have Robbie Coltrane, who's the son of. Yeah. Here's what it's Robbie. it's mixed in and out. So you're able to keep the audience. So we have this kind of experience in a concert in New Orleans, and I'm moving through this so that we're not here forever. But at the it was a different experience at the Minor Auditorium, SF Jazz, because there, as you saw in the earlier slide, they have an immersive they have an immersive system, which means that you can map the four walls of the auditorium, which provides you with a whole different type of concert experience, so that it felt like this. So it's interesting to see how the thing of changes based on the context of the venue. That summer, we had the opportunity. I had the opportunity to teach a graduate seminar in AI, and we also did a outdoor projection event that combined work that I created during that time, and also some work of some of my graduate artistic peers. We put together a program which we entitled An Afrofuturist Journey, and it actually had a avatar MC. Work, this production that we did this projection event that we did, both Briley and Parul were collaborators on this event. Briley on the production, and Parul was actually one of the graduate students that contributed work. And this is sort of like what it looked like out in the public. And I often like to say that the work starts here in the 3D studio and on campus, but then it goes out to the world. It lives out in the world, and we share these things with the world. And a lot of the work, this is Perul's work right here. There, it starts here, and then it goes out into the world. And a number of the pieces that we created for this event, even while I was watching it and looking at it, I was saying, man, I can't wait to get this on the road with the band, because I know it's going to have like this whole other feel to it. And I want to share. Let me see if I can pull up. I'll share. Do you mind if I share your work, Rule? Here it goes right here. Here's and static images, and we began to feel this is a theory. And if you look at quality of when we had this a year ago, we were like,
Yeah, right.
I'm down.
but now when you look at the video signal system that we have available now, it's been exponential improvement in those systems. I want to show you something just really quickly, just so you can get a feel of like this. And this is sort of one. And as we get into incorporate video segment. And the last thing that I'll show you, that I'll share with you, is that when it gets on the road, it has a different, and get with the band, it has like a wholly different feel to it. 20 years ago, Terrence created a album called Flow, which is a jazz standard now, and it was produced by Herbie Hancock, who's another very famous jazz artist that you should know about. And so on the 20-year anniversary of that Ed Katrina, he decided to revisit that work. And actually, I sort of picked up some of that because I actually went back and I revisited some themes in my work from a while ago, and sort of revisited those themes. But once again, when you take the work and it's not on a flat surface and it moves into minor, a venue like the Minor Auditorium, and we can begin to do video with it, it's like a whole. This is AI video systems. Now we're working on video content. Huh? Are there any questions? Yeah.
I mean, we learned a lot in that class. It was a summer class and we were so excited because we were able to use video tools, audio tools. That song that you heard in my little video was actually just written by me, but it was produced by AI. And of course, it gave me many versions, but this one just sort of felt right. It was some woman's voice. It was AI's voice. I just fed it like my poetry. And then based on that, it also generated through the prompt that I want this. Of course, it's very rough because of course it needs a lot of work. And I'm really hoping by now AI can produce better quality as far as, because sometimes you see something missing, a finger is.
Oh, yeah. Oh, it's gotten a lot better.
Yeah.
It's a whole, you can't believe anything you see,
Yeah.
anything you hear. It's broken through that. The most interesting aspect of the course that we taught, and it gets back to that pedagogic thing. And one of the in artistic studio practice, especially as it relates to instruction, the critique is like the most important ritual activity that we have. And that has to be ever present in order for whatever tools you're using to make art to have any sort of value. We have to, or any processes that you're using to make your work, you have to be able to subject those to the rigor of the critique process, which is at the core of how we learn and how we sort of advance these notions of creativity. And the thing that I was most proud of over the course of that semester was that we were able to vigorously
Learning.
retain that important aspect of fine arts, artistic education. So
You probably remember we started working with this guy in Houston who worked with dancers wearing mobile brain imaging caps.
Mhm.
And I wonder if you put him on a brain stimulation cap, and then you actually hallucinate sounds and visions, but by injecting.
no, what you're doing is that you're taking and me and Briley could probably have a touch designer conversation where we could talk about how we could take those outputs from the brain data, the sensor data, and whatever form that came in, either numerically or in terms of waveforms, and translate that into something visual that we could then project either through a device or into the environment.
I mean, basically they demonstrated that two people dancing, parts of their brain the signals started synchronizing.
Right.
Non-locally,
Yeah.
non-locally.
But you had a question.
Yeah, so what types of AI tools and softwares did you use in this? I'm just wondering, not the basic out of the box ones, right? There was obviously a code curation you were doing with AI, so it's kind of wanted to understand that process a little bit.
I like Udio a lot. It's called Udio, however you want to say it. Mid-Journey was really good. Then of course, Chat GPT is always good, but DALI was a little bit more advanced. And then we used another one. Was it Claude for the avatar?
DI.
Yeah, that was pretty cool too.
Yeah.
I created my cat was talking in my final video. It was kind of cool. But she talks to me anyway.
The point of using several tools and not just one tool.
Oh, you have to use several tools.
Yeah,
And Photoshop, and you have to work with many
It's a
tools.
collage.
It's a collage.
No, full-time.
It's tool, half of what we do in the arts is that we're making tools. And what we were doing in the class was learning how to build production workflows or production pipelines that we could use, right? But the other beauty of it is that if you do it right, you can turn that same production pipeline over to someone else, and they could adopt it and change it and use it
They're right.
Same thing in business analytics.
Gives you a lot
for their
of
own work.
creativity. I mean, you keep learning new,
Parallels.
like you were saying, right? it's a very interesting aspect because we are learning a lot through AI. But yeah, we can't use it blindly for sure. I mean, no way. And in the spin gallery, you remember how it just made it so different.
Great.
I mean, I wrote another poem and I created this thing about dystopia. And based on the prompt, it changes. Sometimes it really messes up, but sometimes it will give you something pretty decent.
Yeah, I wish I could get to my Instagram because one of the recent pieces just to show you how far these tools have come
In a year.
in a year. It's like night and day, and it's just it's wait a second, let me see something.
Hang on.
Oh, give me 1 second. I'm going to oh, we can do it this way. I think. Let's go. Andrew, Scott. There we go. Okay, there we go.
To the previous version. Like the pronunciation. I like the but the voice matching with the lips. Perfect. And much more live.
So picking on what they call or
The voice is also AI.
Yeah.
The voice.
Bankers.
That's the point. That's backed on.
Yeah.
That was half of the writer's strength.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Not looking us in the eye.
Yeah.
Doesn't know body language.
Yeah. But that, when you look at what we were working with a year ago, and I made this one in July. I think this one lasts a couple months. When I was in New York in July, August, I knocked that out. So I'm working on a project and I had to come up with some new tools and new workflows for producing this work.
So what do you hope to be able to do in 6 months?
What do I rest? Sleep.
AI doesn't sleep.
Sleep. It sleeps a lot, actually.
No, it doesn't.
I've put it to sleep. When you use it to do coding, you can put it to sleep. Because it just goes into these vivid, like I like to call vivid hallucination where it just can't figure out how to lie. See, part of what an artist's job is always you got to break the tools. And you got to use the tool to do something that it was never designed to do, but you teach it to do this thing. And one of the constraints, and I understand why they have my biggest complaint with a lot of the AI tools that we have available, they are all guarded and restricted. And for obvious reasons, right? For obvious reasons. But you almost have to develop your own models so that you can break them. And you can make them do things. You can make them do things that, because God knows how many times I'm working with images and I'm doing some things and I'm writing prompts, and it tells me that what I'm doing violates the community standards. What community? Not my community,
The government.
But
No
you understand.
AI here.
You understand why those things have to be in place, because any internet technology, its natural inclination is to move towards porn. In every advancement in internet technology as it relates to images, image sizes, download speeds, commerce platforms, all of these things have been innately tied to the development of porn, which has driven all internet technology for the first
You're
30 years.
exaggerating for emphasis.
No, but it's true. It's true, and there've been CGRAPH talks about this very issue. So so it's understood that this is a tool that, if it didn't have any guardrails on it, could lead to some very negative results. But as an artist, my desire is not mainly to be transgressive, but it is to break the tool. Now,
Yeah.
Susan, I have to leave.
Yeah.
Sweet. Thank you. It was a pleasure meeting you.
Yes, thank you. Andrew.
Yeah, so a lot of these images and a lot of these videos have been made with the help of AI, right? But with a lot of your own input. Does it still make it completely your own intellectual property?
that's a very interesting question. I forget what the copyright rules are, and I don't think that you can copyright an AI image. I think the current state of the law is that you can't copyright a AI image, but you can copyright a artistic process.
Okay. Okay.
That you use to, so in my context, like an individual image you can't copyright, but that show that I produced for to go along with the Hurricane Katrina concert, that body of work I can.
You can copyright.
Yeah, because that's an artistic thought. That's a complete artistic thought that has a process that took it from Midjourney to a projection map immersive room installation. So it's a different. You have to create you have to use it to make art.
Mm-hmm.
You have to use it to make art.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Gratitude to ArtSciLab,
Thank you.
to Dr. Molina, and our presenters today for an unbelievable experience. Thanks, Dr. Molina.
Thank you.
Yeah.